So quite often the simplest things are the best things, particularly with golf. And the simplest thing that we have to do to become good at golf is control contact. And I had a lesson very recently, somebody who was just getting back into playing and was trying to get their game ready for the summer, who had a tendency to move the head, bend their arms a little bit. And rather than make this golfer aware of these problems, what I decided to do was just set a bit more of like an agenda and set up a little bit of a drill that would encourage them to improve. And that's what I want to share with you because the results were brilliant. First thing that I did is I made the golfer aware of where the club was coming down because he wasn't quite aware of this. And the club was literally coming down 3-4 inches before the ball. So the way in which I went around changing this, and you guys have options. You have options between using golf balls, okay? Or you can place a different object on the floor. I use golf balls. The reason I use golf balls is because I felt it was something that he would actually do in his own practice. And I measured about a shaft's distance away from the golf ball itself, and then I placed 2 golf balls down like that, okay? And you would immediately think that you were never going to hit those. But what immediately happened is because the golfer had a tendency to move his head, he collided with them and he sent them to the back of the range, similar to what I'm demonstrating there. So you would practice with those first and foremost, okay? And then obviously you can advance it a few inches further up if you want to. So you could probably come in another 3-4 inches. I probably wouldn't suggest you advance any more than about a foot's distance away from the ball, which would be, as you can see I'm demonstrating here, because otherwise it will encourage the club to come down too steep. So you want to have it just so it's invasive enough, okay, similar to that. And that worked a real treat because what started to happen is he quickly realised that he has to keep his head still, and that gives him more of a feeling of picking the club up, okay? And then that was also helping him get the feeling of striking down on the back of the golf ball. Now, the difficulty with golf, and lots of my students know this, is it's not that hard to make a change. So if you say to somebody, look, I want you to strike down underneath the ball and stop hitting the ground early, they're generally okay at doing that. If you say to somebody, I want you to keep your head still instead of moving, they're generally okay with that. The problem in golf is that making an alteration can quite often have a hypothetical problem with it. And this is what happened to the students. So you've got to bear in mind, this golfer has always hit the ball with sort of bent arms and a head position too far back. So when they square the face, they're used to it being square from this type of position like so. Now, all of a sudden, because I made this golfer more aware of trying to control that low point, although he was able to strike the ground closer to where the golf ball was located, he then started shanking the ball, okay? Now, you think about that. If you're sort of so used to hitting it with bent arms like this, and then all of a sudden you've got to straighten those arms and you're trying to control that low point, what was happening is he was shoving the club too much to the right, okay? Now, that's going to give you the shank. So what I did is then I just placed an object. You could use your Wedge Pro, or so that you guys can see, you can just place like an alignment stick. Okay, so if I now place the alignment stick opposite the ball, like so, all of a sudden, that simple idea, okay, is going to stop you from shanking. And the reason why is because we know that I'm trying to encourage you and the golfer to strike the ground from the ball, like so. And those golf balls are there to encourage that very much naturally to happen. However, because the golfer was then, see, like so, so because he was so now concentrating on straightening his arms to make sure he could strike the ground here, he was also sending the club too much to the right of the target, which is why he was striking that alignment stick. So once we're mindful of that, what naturally started to happen was rotation, okay? Because he knew that you had to hit the ground there. He also knew that he had to find a way to not hit that alignment stick. And what started to naturally happen is he kept his head stiller and he turned. Because you've got to understand, guys, that the rotation in your golf swing helps you guide the club. Okay, and this is why with a lot of my students, I do lots of things like single-handed exercises because you get your rotation to help you feel like you're guiding the club in the correct direction. So this drill became brilliant because it was subconsciously making this golfer improve on a number of levels. Not only did he have to think about contact, and not only did it naturally keep his head a lot stiller, but it also encouraged a natural amount of rotation to make sure that he didn't strike the alignment stick. And that's why I'd suggest that this little simple setup that I've got down in front of me here will make a massive difference to the next time you play. See you guys again really soon.